here is a people-pleasing pattern that could be causing you a lot of harm and how to get out of it. So part one is love bombing. So this is the first stage, and not only when it comes to other people, but when it comes to ourselves as well, because we can love bomb ourselves. And when I talk about love bombing ourselves, it's creating this incredible story in our head of how amazing this person's going to be, how amazing this experience is going to be. Maybe somebody told you how amazing their experience was, and you were like, yeah, that's going to happen to me too. And you get super excited about it, like 10 out of 10 excited. And then maybe you have the experience and it wasn't what it lived up to in your mind. And therefore you start to pick it apart. Or maybe you did have a really great experience, but you're walking away and you're just going, well, what about this? And what about that? And what if this? And what if that? So getting super in your head and talking yourself out of whatever experience was, instead of just simply enjoying it and leaving it there. And then what happens is we discard. So when we discard, maybe we ghost, or we try to reach out to somebody and they don't reach out back to us. Or maybe we just are in so much frustration and resentment that we find ourselves not doing anything. And then maybe it's a few weeks, a few months, maybe even a few years, you find yourself in a level of guilt. So you then find yourself back to love bombing. So a great example of this is if you're dating right now and you find yourself meeting a really awesome person, or a person you think is awesome. And then you start to tell them how awesome they are and how amazing they are. Or they tell you how awesome you are and how amazing you are. It goes both ways. And then you find yourself, or they find themselves, picking things apart and questioning things. And then all of a sudden disappearing and ghosting. And then getting curious or feeling guilty and coming back in because maybe they've dated other people, or you've dated other people, and you're realizing this person was actually a great option. And so therefore you go back to love bombing, go back to devaluing, go back to ghosting, and then going back to hoovering back in. And it could be the same person, it could be different people over and over and over again. And you're wondering, maybe I just haven't found my person, or maybe that person's not the one, when really you're just stuck in this pattern. So Amanda, how do I get out of this? Great question. First, we want to see where we're love bombing ourselves, where we're getting too excited, or where other people are getting too excited. And we want to get curious about where our neutral is. So when I talk about neutral, I'm talking about a 7 out of 10. When you are a 7 out of 10, you're feeling good, you're making more useful decisions, you're not overly excited, but you're also not like depressed or underly excited either. Also thinking of it like this, if 70% of your day is pretty awesome, then it was a pretty awesome day. But there's always going to be that 30% where things don't quite go your way, or they don't go the way that you thought it would. But you're not going to focus on that 30%. You're going to focus on that 70%. So finding your 7. Also noticing when people are fully love bombing you, and knowing when to take a step back rather than a step forward. Also noticing when you're picking things apart, where you're falling into emotions like resentment and guilt. And start asking yourself, do these emotions, does this experience help me to achieve my outcome? If it's a no, allow yourself to have a 5-minute adult temper tantrum and move on. Because sometimes we just need to allow ourselves to be pissed off. We need to allow ourselves to be sad. Give yourself the 5 minutes you need, have the temper tantrum, and then allow yourself to get curious about how you want to feel. So you're feeling your emotions and you're just choosing to move on. And then asking yourself once again, what choices do I need to make in order to achieve my outcome? And start writing down some of those options. And if you want to learn more about how to get out of people pleasing and how to get out of your old unuseful patterns and start living the life of your dreams, feel free to like, follow, and share for more.